Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, we are working on the Monarch Lathe again today, getting ready to scrape in the compound on here. It should be the last little bit of scraping we have to do is on this part, and we should be getting that lathe back up and going very soon. So basically two parts here. We got the bottom plate here that swivels, that has the dovetails in the side, and then we have the top piece that slides on this that goes back and forth. And we're going to start with the top piece just because it's longer. Let me kind of zoom you in here and show you what's going on. So again, the two pieces here, this is the part that mounts. It will swivel on the center pin, and I've already done some scraping on the bottom of this. We'll check it before we go, but if I remember right, that's actually in pretty good shape, and that was done off camera. And on the top of this, we remilled this over on the milling machine just to get everything trued up. I may take it over the surface grinder and grind these bottoms here parallel and flat to the bottom here just to have a good starting point, but it ought to be pretty close as it is. It just needs to be scraped. But this is actually going to be the second piece that we scrape. I want to start with the part that slides on top of this. Of course, this will come in here and it goes the other way, but here we go. This will slide on top of here. There's a screw in the front that pulls it back and forth. And of course there's a gib that goes over here on the side that, or on this side actually, that we'll have to fit in here. But the reason I want to start on this top piece is because it is longer than the bottom. So when we are scraping this in, we will actually use this as our master. This will become basically it'll be like our straight edge for all intent and purposes. And as you can see, just even right there, I've actually transferred some blue just from the blue that was on here. And that's exactly what we'll do. But I will get this piece here all flat, and we'll get the one dovetail over here on the side done. One of these dovetails is actually at an angle because this is the side the gib comes in. We won't touch this side, we'll only do this side. And once that's done again, we'll come to this piece and scrape it all in. So I've already taken this over to the plate and blued it up. And again, we've already started the scraping process on this piece. And this was actually done in a scraping class. A while back, I had a student that kind of ran out of a project, said, well, what can I do? I want to do some more scraping. And I handed him this. So that's been a while back. So he didn't finish it, I remember, but you can see he's got it started. So we'll just kind of pick up where he left off and get all this where we got good contact all the way around. So we've actually got pretty good area of contact in here. It's not bad. We shouldn't take very long to get this scraped in, but I'm just going to go ahead and start hitting these high spots and taking it on down a little bit more, and hopefully in a couple passes we'll have this looking good. I'm just going to be using the Biax power scraper to do this. All right, we'll clean this up. Take a little Windex and take that blue off. I'm going to take my precision ground bench stone here And we'll just kind of hit both of these. That just deburrs it. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of yellow on here. This just gives me some contrast. Helps you see your new scrape marks, and it just kind of helps make that blue pop out a little bit over on the surface plate. And now let's take it over, we'll re-blue it up. Put it on the plate, and it's a little bit harder to hinge this one than a normal because we're kind of hitting on, we don't have anything in the center for it to pivot on. So you're really kind of pivoting on two sides, but anyway, let's just blue it up and see where we're at. So back over and scrape another round. In scraping, you're trying to get a crisscross pattern in here to kind of get a checkerboard to get individual points. So we scraped from this direction last time. I'm going to come the other way this time. And again, I'm just taking the high spots off here, basically hitting the areas that have blue. This is where I really like that yellow in there, is you can see where you've scraped and on previous and where you scraped this time. It really makes it stand out. If you don't have that in there, the areas that aren't blue, you really can't tell where you hit and where you didn't hit. When scraping, you want to make individual lines and individual scrape marks. So I'm not sitting here just holding down in one area. I'm moving across, and you get a scrape, and you want to have basically a space in between each scrape mark. So individual lines in this direction and then individual scrape marks in there. So I'm trying not to go over the same area too much. By doing the individual lines and the individual scrape marks, you break up the scrape marks that you did before. And that gives you those points of contact, which is what we're ultimately after here. All right, that looks good. Try to stay out of the areas where there's not much blue. That's your holes in here. And we don't want to scrape any more out of the holes. We just want to take the high spots off. All right. Clean her up and go at it again. With these precision bench stones, you want to, they come in a pair. They're both perfectly flat off the surface grinder. You rub them against each other, that trues them back up, and then you come in here, and again, I'm not trying to really take a whole lot off of this. I'm just trying to deburr, get rid of any burrs that are on there. And back over to the blue and plate. Oh, I see, we need to yellow it up. All right, I'll take it back to the surface plate. We'll bring you back in a few minutes after we get it down a little bit farther. Taking several passes here, and we're moving right along. I've got pretty good coverage now. You know, it's a little bit light in a couple places, although I'm picking up some points in there. I'm probably going to take another pass or two at it just to try to even it out. As far as points per inch, if you put this on here, that's 1 square inch. You know, I'm counting 30 points, 30 to 35 points, just depending on where you put it at. So we got pretty good points, and like I said, my coverage is pretty good. I'm just, like I said, a little bit light in here and a little bit light in here. So I think I'm going to make another pass or two. I've got my my Biax here on a real short stroke, and I'm basically just coming in here and hitting just those blue points. Got a pretty tight radius in there, so it's taking a very precision cut. still making the crosses in here kind of. But in these areas where I'm light, I'm just kind of hitting those individual points that I want to knock down. Anyway, we'll take another pass here and we'll bring you back and show you what we got. I'm working on this inside dovetail now. I've got this set up over here in a vise where I can work on it. It's easier to scrape relatively flat. I got a little bit of an angle, downward angle here where I can get in there to it. It's a little bit awkward looking over this piece coming down in here, but it works. And the way we're bluing this up is I've got a straight edge here, and I've just blued up the face on this, and I will bring my straight edge in here, kind of go back there into that back, drop the face down, and slide it back and forth, and we're going to transfer the blue. In this case, you know, I can't get that dovetail over on my surface plate, but I can get this surface that I've tested to the surface plate on the straight edge into the dovetail. So I've got blue marks in here now that I can see, and we'll go in here and scrape them off. Now, because it's just such a tight place, I'm hand scraping this. So I've just got a little hand scraper here, and we're just going to do this by hand, and I'm just going to come in here and hit the blue spots. It's a little bit tough to get the light just right, and it's probably not right for you guys, but I got to see what I'm doing here. Just like before, I'm going one way and then the other way, and going back and forth, crisscrossing these. And we'll just keep on doing this until we get our good coverage and good contact in there. All right, so clean that out. Got a little stone here. Deburr it. Try to put a little yellow in there where I can get some contrast. And back over here with the straight edge. Rinse and repeat. Just keep on doing this until we get the coverage we want. Guys, we're making progress here. Come in here and blue this up again. Scrape off the high spots again. Getting my light just right and getting my eyesight just right here is a little bit challenging. But we're getting it. I'm just trying to hit those blue spots. I'm getting some contact on the front and the back and trying to pick up the middle in most places. We're making some contact across the middle in a few places, but most of it is either hitting back there in the back or up here in the front. But we're getting there. All right. Maybe just a little bit right there. Well, I really can't tell how much you guys can see on the camera there. I'm trying to move it around a little bit, but I've got pretty good contact in there. I'm happy with what I've got just with the hand scraping here. So we're going to call this good enough and go ahead and get over to our other piece. We can start using this as our master now. Basically use this as our straight edge, and we'll get the matching dovetail scraped in as well. Now we've got the top slide all finished, we're going to need to start working on the bottom side of this compound. And like I mentioned before, first thing I did is I took it over to my surface grinder. I had already scraped the bottom of this. Previously, we did that in a scraping class a while back, and it was in great shape. I didn't see any reason to go ahead and touch it up at all, but I did take this over to the surface grinder, setting on this bottom, and I basically just ground these surfaces in here so to be parallel with our flat surface on the bottom. And there is a little bit of a lip back in here because I was not able to get the grinding wheel all the way up underneath the shelf where the dovetail is. I got a little bit of a lip in here, and I took it over to my surface plate with a tenths indicator running around on here. It wasn't, the slots that I put in here were not perfectly parallel with the bottom. I had measured that. I knew it was off by just a little bit. But when we got everything cleaned up, there's a little ridge back here that varies anywhere from about 4 thousandths on this end at this deepest place down to maybe just a little under 1 thousandths on this end. So I need to get that taken out of both sides. So I'll just get in here with the scraper. We're going to concentrate on just getting this back parts done on both sides of this, getting it down flush, and then I'll go ahead and do a rough scraping on the whole bottom parts, and we will take the part that we just previously did and use that to actually glue this up. So I'm going to use the Biax power scraper to get in here and do that rough scraping. I'm just doing some circles here to kind of just rough that down, just to kind of get it in there. I'll probably have to get in there with a hand scraper to get to the very back, but we should be able to get pretty close here. All right, we'll do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to probably take over here to back to the surface plate and do some measuring in here to see where I need to take more at, and then we'll start actually scraping it. All right, I measured this over on the surface plate, and we've got it pretty good. There's maybe a few high spots in there, maybe a few low spots in there, but it's close. I'm going to go ahead and just put a cross pattern on here in both directions, and then we'll come back and start bluing it up. I've already kind of put my first set of cross patterns on here on the back side. I'm about to do the same thing on this side. We'll get back up there into the back and just put it in here. After we do this, we'll blue it up, see where we're at, and then the work will really start and taking everything down. Hopefully we got that ridge pretty well taken out by there in the back. All right, come from the other direction now. Knock the burrs off. I've got the blue bottomed up here on my cross slide, and we'll come in here and we will slide it back and forth, and this should tell us where our hot spots are probably still back there up underneath that bottom shelf will be my guess. And that's what it kind of looks like. So we got a little more work to do in there. But now I can see exactly where we're high. We got a little bit of high here. There's some up underneath the bottom in this side. And I don't know if you can see it on there, there's some up in the bottom on this side. And we got a little bit of blue starting to show up on the outside here. So just start hitting those blue spots and taking it down. Coming along nicely here, I think I'm going to probably just go ahead and call this, anytime you're using another, cast iron on cast iron, using a straight edge basically, it's a little bit more difficult to get the spotting like you do on a granite plate. You just don't have as much flatness that you're working off of. But I'm getting really nice coverage here. I'm happy with this. Yeah, maybe just a little bit light up in here, but you know what? I'm just to the point where I think I'm going to call it. I'm happy with what I got. Probably got a good between 20 and 30 points per inch, and coverage is more than adequate. So I think we're going to be good here. And that's probably going to be a wrap on this video. I'm just running out of time. But the next thing that we'll have to do is scrape the dovetails here. So we'll scrape this one using, this is the fixed side. I put the little X's on here to just let me know that this is the side that's fixed. This is the side that has the gib on it on the top slide. So we'll scrape this dovetail to match the top slide. We've already scraped the dovetail on that one. So we'll blue up this dovetail. And then we'll come in here and start scraping this one in, but I'll have to make sure these are parallel. So we'll be taking measurements all the way down to make sure they're the same width the whole way down. And we'll get this one over here put in. And then once that's done, of course, then we'll have to come in and fit our gib. And we may have to make a new gib. I haven't really looked at that yet to see whether the old gib is going to work in here or just like the other one, because of the metal that we removed and the wear and everything. I'm suspecting I'm probably going to have to make a gib that's a little bit thicker over there. Kind of like what we had to do on the cross slide. Well, we're making progress, getting closer to the end goal here. I can see the finish line in sight, but still need a little more time on here. And my time in the shop has been very, very limited the last couple of weeks. This is my busy time of the year, doing a lot of traveling, on the road a bunch, and that equates to not as much time at home and not as much time to get out here and get projects done. But we're making time and we're getting this thing knocked out as quick as we can. Hopefully have this lathe done very soon. That's going to be a wrap, guys. As always, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time around.